Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, The Intersection. This is Professor Mohammed B. Ali. In this video, we will be talking about CSS and how to create CSS. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. CSS specifies the page layout, colors, and fonts. You've seen HTML in Tutorial 1. HTML is used to structure a web document, allowing you to embed images, videos, and other media types. But CSS comes in and specifies your document style. The page layout, the colors, and the fonts are all determined with CSS. Think of HTML as the foundation, and the CSS is the aesthetic choices. So let's start. This diagram shows you the different style sheets. The first one at the bottom, browser styles, that every browser has its own default styles. That's why we need a reset styles. That's why we need to create our own styles so we can make our websites look the same in almost every browser. Now, we still cannot do that, but that's the goal. The user-defined styles, these are like styles that somebody can write them, and each browser has its own way of writing these styles, and this would help people with disability that they need a larger font size that is larger than what that website's font is, maybe a different font family, and so on and so forth. These first two are not our concern for this course. These three are. And out of these three, the inline styles, I'll show you how to create them, but we never use them. And we only use them when we debug for debugging purposes because we don't want to mix HTML with CSS. This embedded style or internal style, still people use them, not more than 4 or 5 rules. And I will tell you what a rule is. But mostly what we use is external styles. External styles, that's what we use. So the best way to show you how is to start working on a Visual Studio Code. So let's open Visual Studio Code and start working. I have created a folder. I named it Sandbox so I can play with it. And as a matter of fact, the first page that I've created is called pg_01.html. I've also added a CSS folder. This is not part of your assignment, so don't confuse it with your assignment. I'm just displaying process of creating CSS. Okay, so and then I also added a structure, HTML structure to the page. So let's start by creating maybe different paragraphs. So this is the page created inside the Sandbox folder. I added some text. I added heading ones, and I did this on purpose. I have heading one here and heading one there. So I'm going to show you how to control those independently from each other or format them from each other. I have these paragraphs. I can make the page a little bit some excitement here, an H2 element and an H3 element, and I have also added a span inline element. I forgot to add some navigation. Let's do that. So I create 5, and now I am going to add names to these pages here. This will be home. I added the title of the pages, and we are going to do refresh. And this is the page, exactly what we did in ct_about.html that we did in tutorial 1. All right, but again, this is not an assignment. This is just a display of how CSS works. Inline style applies to a single element. It directly affects the tag they are written in without the use of any selectors. And here's an example. If I want the color of this H1 to be a different color, I can then come here, start with the word style, that's the syntax rule, and then 2 double quotes, and then inside I will say color colon RGB 206 55 21, and then ends with a semicolon. Save this and refresh the server, and the colors change. This applies to the single element. Let's do another example of the inline styles. Let's assume that I want the content of this span to be italicized. Come inside the first tag of span, create a space, style, assignment, double quote, and then inside we type font dash styles italic. So let's save, changed, lorem ipsum italicized. I can add another rule. Click inside the double quote right after this semicolon and create another rule. Let's say I want it to be bold. So font dash weight. I can use the word bold or I can use 900. and save. And so this should be bold if I do refresh. And it is bold. Inline styles are not the best practice. Inline styles do not separate the content from the design. Inline styles cause maintenance headache. Inline styles are not accessible. Inline styles make your page bigger and bigger. You can see that we're mixing HTML with CSS. So the next thing we're going to talk about is embedded or internal styles. Embedded or internal style sheet only affects the document that are embedded in. Embedded style sheets are defined in the head section of an HTML document using the style tag. Come right here and use the style tag inside the head element. Inside the head elements, that's where the internal or embedded style sheet is defined, and it only affects the document that it is in. In the embedded or internal, we use a selector. Let's say the selector in this case is section. This is the section that I want to change its background color, and it's going to be RGB 96, 96, 96. And I end it always with the semicolon. And this is the section. It's all of this space. It starts from here all the way to the bottom here. That's the end of my section. So if I do refresh, color changed. We start with the selector, in this case, section. If I want to do another one, let's do an H1, H2, H3. And this is called the group selector because they're separated by commas. Let's change their color to be white. And that's RGB, you guessed it, 255, 255, and 255. If I refresh, this is H1s, these two. This is H2 and this is H3. And they're white. It's in the same document. You have to use a selector, and that with the embedded or internal affects all the elements. Let's change the paragraph styles. Selector the paragraph. Let's change its font size. 1.25. How about that? 125%. So if I save, refresh, here's the size changed. If I want to change its color to white, so I can have more than one property and value as long as you separate them by semicolon. It's white. So that is internal or embedded styles. The advantage of using embedded or internal style sheets, it doesn't require any extra downloads. So you don't have to download another external document. The disadvantage of embedded or internal style sheet, it's not possible to control the styles of multiple documents from one file.
The third way of applying style sheets is to use external style sheets. An external style sheet is a file containing only CSS syntax. So it is a document containing only CSS syntax and with an extension .css. This document contains CSS rules and it cannot contain any HTML tags. And it's tied to the HTML file by using the link tag. This link tag is in the head of the HTML page. No limit to the number of external style sheets. And an external style sheet can be combined with embedded style sheets.
Let's start by creating the CSS file. I have a CSS folder. We'll give it a name, main.css. So the extension always .css. So here it is open. Documenting within a CSS file, start with the / asterisk and then asterisk / and in between you do your documentation. It's wise to do a documentation within the body of the CSS file itself. For example, if I'm trying to create rules for navigation, I can make a heading for it like what you see. And in here I can start my rule. The external style sheet cannot contain HTML tags, so you cannot inside a CSS file here, you cannot create HTML tags like those. That's a no-no. Let's create a rule for the navigation. and background color, let's make it black. This is a rule for the navigation part. This navigation will not, if I check, nothing will happen. Nothing will happen because I need to link it. And that takes us to step number 4. Step number 4, link, and the link has to be in the HTML page. So to do this, we go back into the HTML document and link href, and then the folder name is playground underscore CSS or PG underscore CSS, and it's main.css, the only file inside that folder, and then rel, and then style sheet, stylesheet, and in the element tag. Okay, save, and then refresh, open your server and refresh. And here is that stripe 50 pixels. Now the navigation's not in it yet, but we can make it. So let's do that. Let's complete that. Let's complete this navigation. We are back here, nav, UL. Let's make the margin 0 pixels. I don't have to do the unit when it's 0. And padding 0. We save and refresh. And there is no margins or padding anymore. And let's continue. Nav, UL, LI, that's the list item inside the UL, inside the nav. And let's do display in line. Let's continue on. Nav, UL, LI, A. Let's change the color of the font to be white. And let's remove that underline text. Decoration is none. Okay, so now if I refresh, here's it's white. Let's space them out. Let's space them out here. Padding 0, top and bottom, right and left is 15 pixels. And refresh. Here's they're spaced out. Let's center them. We are going to center them in the nav itself here. That's text dash decoration. I'm sorry, text align center. So this is just like showing you this. All of these rules are in an external style sheet. And this external style sheet contains rules and then link to the HTML using that link tag. Let's do the last final thing. Let's vertically align them, and that's, I'm going to use the trick line height 50 pixels, and that should put it right in this middle here. Okay, and refresh, and here they are. So you have rules. Each property and value ends with a semicolon. These are inside another external style sheet. It's called main.css, and it's linked to the HTML page in the head section. This concludes this video. Please subscribe to my channel so you can receive all the updates. Thank you for watching and have a beautiful day. Bye-bye now.